Hi there, Taurus. Thank you for joining me for your year 2015 forecast. At the start of each year, we get a set of planetary influences, the solar return, which are going to prove influential for the rest of the year. Now, one of these for you, I do feel could be quite challenging. It's a continuation of an influence which has gone on over the last 2 or 3 years, a square between Uranus in the most psychological part of your situation and Pluto, which is in the part of your scope, promoting the options for change. And change is not something that all Taurans necessarily embrace with both hands. And the reason for this is because generally you're someone who appreciates stability, probably more than any other zodiac sign, and it makes you a very solid citizen. And very often Taurus people can be those who provide the glue because of your stability in your approach. But Uranus and Pluto have been urging you to get in touch with more psychological needs over the last 3 years and to release yourself from a situation which actually is not making you particularly happy. Now, if you've been resisting that over this period of time, this may have come out in terms of physical tensions, not necessarily always feeling particularly well, perhaps even headaches at times, or a sense of feeling trapped in a situation. But you know, you do have a way through that this year, because there is a wonderful alliance between your ruling planet Venus and also Mercury at the start of this year, which suggests you may find yourself becoming more and more open to the possibility of change. And also, if you do something completely and radically different to anything you've ever done before, whether it's meet someone who's very different to you, whether it's going on a trip of a lifetime, whether it's studying a course that in the past you may not have felt that you could do, all of these things can be tremendously life-affirming and open you up to new experiences like never before. It's just that, even if you do all this stuff, it possibly won't be pain-free, because unfortunately Uranus's square with Pluto is a very potent influence, and it's behind a lot of the chaos that we're seeing in the world at the present time when it comes to all this desire for people to rise up against the orthodox control that's been in power for a long time and get their voices heard. So it's possible you need to get your voice heard as well, but the first person who needs to recognize that, I believe, is you. Now, equally, there is going to be an opposition at the start of this year between Mars and Jupiter. Now, Mars starts the year in the sign of Aquarius, and its opposition with Jupiter can give you a much greater desire to prove yourself or to demonstrate your true authority or professional talents. But if you do, it could be that you're not going to see your friends and family quite so much in the months to come if you really go with the extra drive and self-confidence that Mars is going to give you. It's an option, it's not a given, it's a choice for you to take, but it's an interesting one for sure. And then also the other big change at the start of this year is the fact that Saturn, the planet of structure, which has spent the last couple of years in your sector of relating and probably made it quite hard going in terms of forging close alliances, maintaining the ones that you've got, or finding that there's been obstacles around the person or people that you have been fond of to go into a deeper, closer relationship in the way that you've wanted. Well, Saturn moves at the start of this year, or has moved just at the end of last year, to be absolutely accurate. And as you enter this year, it's moved into an area which is much more to do with the depth of situations. Now, if you're someone who has a natural love of crime thrillers, mysteries, or in terms of understanding what makes yourself tick, so in terms of esoteric things like astrology, then Saturn can be hugely instructive for you, and it's going to be in this location through till June. Now, in mid-June, it then switches back into Scorpio through to the middle of September, and you're going to get another 3 months of that influence around your personal relationships, your close personal relationships. But that could be a good thing, because it could mean that someone's going to come into your world who is going to be around for the long haul, like you really yearn for. that anyone who has proved to be a lightweight will make way for them. But it also suggests that if there are still some lessons to learn about how other people see you in terms of how you relate, or if you're not tuning into understanding other people as much as you might, then that could still play out during that 3-month period. Now, the other planet that obviously is very important and moves each year, of course, is Jupiter. And the first half of this year, it's suggesting that if you're an enterprise in Taurus, you may be starting up or spending more time in embracing some kind of home-based business, or one that you can practice in your community or locality, or one that's flexible enough to work around your family life. But from August the 11th, it does move into your sister Earth sign of Virgo. And that's a wonderful change for you. And it suggests that when it comes to romance, but also expressing yourself, the second half of this year can be richly important. But of course, solar eclipses and lunar eclipses are also very important. And there is one on the 20th of March, which sets the scene for the 6 months from then. And that's going to be very much about how you connect to people as friends. If you're someone who has a wide circle of friends, this solar eclipse can definitely be helpful to you. But we need to be aware that eclipses work in pairs. So this one works with a lunar eclipse, which emerges on the 4th of April. And this one is much more psychological for you, and it's embracing the energies of Uranus again. So as much as some friendships can be very fulfilling for you from the 6 months from March, equally, some can start to come apart at the seams because you start to see people in a new light, a more psychological light. And Saturn's going to help this. Your ability to delve down deeper into what's really meaningful is going to be that much more profound. And I have to say to you, when it comes to your long-term financial situation, you may find yourself having to economize more or be even more creative when it comes to marshalling your finances, because an income stream that you've depended on in the past may alter, but it can alter into something much better. You can replace it with something that's much more enterprising, but you cannot be passive around this. And that's what I mean about change that comes from Pluto. We don't always choose it. Sometimes Pluto seems to push change on us that we're resisting, we don't like it, but then in the fullness of time, we realize it's for the best. So, once Saturn re-emerges in September back into the sign of Sagittarius, and also Jupiter is finding its feet in your sister Earth sign of Virgo, a more creative side of your nature can definitely come to the fore. And if there is an entrepreneur in you that needs to come out, this can certainly be the time that you can go for it. Just one word though, in September there is 2 more eclipses. And once more, the lunar eclipse occurs in the sign of Aries. So once more, you need to be conscious of the psychological side of relationships. So you can't really take anyone completely at face value this year. You need to keep learning about your motives and the motives of the people that you encounter. If you continue to do this and become shrewder and more savvy about the way that life works, the more enriching that your relationships in general can become. And October could turn out to be a wonderful month when there is a fantastic link between Jupiter and Pluto, which can see some major breakthroughs for you in all sorts of ways. However, nothing in astrology stands still. And from the middle of November to the early part of December, there is a tricky influence between Neptune, the planet of dreams, also in your sector of friendship, and also Saturn. And you may have to become a little bit more worldly wise and aware that some of your hopes, especially if you are a more spiritual person, need to be blended against the reality of what life can really be like, and it isn't always an easy process for any of us. But I do feel that this year in general does give you an opportunity to grow and embrace the concept of change in a much less fearful way than ever before. And if you do go on that wonderful expedition to somewhere that's very, very different, it really will set your senses alight. If you take up an interest or hobby which is really fascinating but very, very different, it will be the best thing you've ever done. There's so much to be gained this year, but you have to be aware that when it comes to human relationships, there's still going to be ebbs and flows. It's been a real pleasure being with you, Taurus. Thank you for joining me. Good luck and goodbye for now.